Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Come on in and sit a while. Relax. The Fox Robbins Business Show is all about small business and entrepreneurship. We are cheerleaders, encouragers, aiders and abettors, and advice givers.
A better? Gambler?
That's good advice. It's good advice.
I hope so.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm the co-host, but the other co-host is the one you really got to watch out for, because on the street they say this guy is bodacious.
Bodacious, that's me.
They say he is dynamic and he's electric.
Mr.
He's
Bill.
Coach Robbins.
How you doing? I actually understood some of those words anyway.
Coach, we're gonna talk to you up, down, sideways today about restaurant marketing.
Okay.
And you told me before the show that a countless number of people, of aspirants to the restaurant industry, and those who think about it,
Yep.
those who are actually getting into it, those who have been in it.
Yep, want to get back in it for
Want to
some
get back in it,
ungodly reason, and those that don't want to get back in it.
And some success, but some pain too.
A lot of pain.
And us as a restaurant marketing, we have an excellent article by Megan Wenzel,
Yep.
and about this is what we're going to talk about, is stepping up and improving on marketing technique.
Yep.
I mean,
Particularly
kitchen,
online.
The kitchen is great,
Yep.
and the food is great, but the marketing is poor. You could be in trouble.
Well, you could say that about any business. If the marketing's poor, you could be in trouble. Remember what Peter Drucker said. Job one, create customers. How do you do
Find the
that?
customer.
Executing a unique, innovative, written marketing plan.
Well, this we're going to talk about today is 3 strategies
Yes,
for restaurant guest feedback
right,
that actually work.
right.
Set of people come, sit down, eat, pay the bill, go, and you didn't lift a finger to find out. Didn't lift a finger to find out if they were satisfied, dissatisfied, or somewhere in between, or what.
Shame on you if you didn't, I'll tell you right now. For any business, but restaurants especially.
So we're going to question you about that.
Okay.
I told you before the show. I was going to ask you on a what you call a macro level, an overall, the overall view, the forest for the trees in the U.S. Is that I had seen a clip on the internet that restaurant business is said to be declining. It's not a rising opportunity as you look at it and say,
Right.
I'm signing on to a rising
Growing
marketplace.
Huge
No,
demand.
is level or falling.
Right.
And is that true? What's your comments?
Absolutely, it
Macro.
is true because particularly since 2007, 2008, as we were discussing, people are still a little bit careful about how they spend their money, and the restaurant industry has been declining fairly steadily. But I think it's even, and I'm not a macro economist, but I understand too that the restaurant industry is not growing and is actually contracting a little bit. And there's a lot of factors that have to do that. You and I were talking about
Right.
food delivery service and all kinds of different ways that people are getting their
I
pre-made
see the
meal.
ads on TV about food delivery to your
Yeah.
door,
Right.
so you don't have to go out the door.
And a lot of that's being put together by people that don't even have a sit-down restaurant.
I mean, that started with the pizza thing, but it's now into
Domino's.
all kinds of
It's
food.
had a domino effect.
A domino effect.
Pun,
right.
pun intended.
Right. I also, I think that the note that I saw, Coach, was also about rising prices, rising level of prices. So going to the restaurant is now a bigger dollar bill.
Yes, it is.
And people say, maybe I'll stay at home or I'll go to a fast food place. Is this true? Have you seen
Absolutely, it is true, because you take myself, please. You take just my wife and I.
Take him, please.
Please, somebody. Right? My wife loves me anyway. We don't eat out as much as we used to. And I'm still shocked to go to a restaurant in the evening and get a simple meal and have a $60 bill. And it has to be that way because cost of goods, cost of the food has gone up quite a bit. A lot of restaurants print these fancy menus, and they're reluctant to go print more menus because they got to raise the prices. Mm-hmm. I just recently, I go to this one little restaurant, which you and I have been to in New Bedford, for instance.
Yeah.
And I used to be able to, in New Bedford, which isn't, Plymouth or Cape Cod or whatever. No,
it's not a high-priced place.
It's not a high-priced place. It's a lower price generally. Well, guess what? I went there a couple of maybe months ago. Well, they got a brand new big menu. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All in plastic, and it's really nice now. And I noticed the same thing I was getting for $6 and something cents with coffee included was now $8 and something cents. And it has to be that way because they have to make money, have to make a profit, they got to pay people, they got to pay rent and light, and the overhead in a restaurant can be very expensive. So
but Coach, that's not a 10% increase. That's more
it was
like
a big increase. It was a shocking increase, quite frankly. But they were obviously they hadn't printed new menus in years, and they got to do it. And it just the cost of goods has gone up. Every restaurant I go into that I've been a regular I've paid regular attendance to. Has gone up in the, think of the one that we meet for breakfast when we do our planning our shows.
Yeah.
That's gone up. There's new menus there. But they got new booths, they got new this, they got new that. And all of a sudden, instead of paying $8 a meal, you're paying $10, $11 a meal. They got to survive.
This episode, well, actually, we'll do 2 episodes, back to back, because we got a lot
There's a lot to
ground
cover here.
And we'll get started here. That restaurant guests are hungry for the food and drink, but the restaurant owner should be equally hungry for feedback.
You better believe
it. You got to get some feedback.
I've said this on other shows that when I was teaching marketing research at Bentley College in the McCallum Graduate School, I would say to the students, the very first class, look I'm going to teach you some sophisticated software here. Maybe it's not so sophisticated here 12, 14 years later, but it was very sophisticated then. But before I do that, I want you to understand the most important thing you need to do for your business. And you'd hear the shuffle of pens and pencils. Go talk to your customers. What a rocket science idea. Ask them, how was it? Are you happy with us? In restaurants, it's even more important because, as we will talk about in a little while, a lot of people check out restaurants online before they go to the restaurant. I watch a television show, The Phantom Gourmet, and I just check online to see they're talking about the restaurant being this great hamburger or great pastrami, whatever, and I'll check it online. It's got 3.5 stars. I won't go there. They're talking about it like it's great, and I'm saying, 3.5 stars, there's something wrong here, I will not go to a restaurant that has less than 4 stars.
One thing we have to say to people who are in the restaurant business or interested in it or whatever the case might be, get ready, so to speak, if we're talking about feedback. And the question is, can you handle it?
You better.
You
better handle it.
Go for feedback, realizing some's going to be positive and some not so positive.
Right.
Are you ready for that?
And research shows, as I've said for decades, that people are 8 to 10 times more likely to give you a negative review than people are willing to give you a positive review.
Oh, really?
That's just a fact of nature, I guess. That people can go in and they're happy and it was wonderful, but they don't take the time to review you, whether it's a restaurant or any other business, positively, okay? You want to get that majority that are happy with your business, hopefully, saying good things to offset some of the people that are going to come in and say the bad things. I look on Yelp, for instance, or TripAdvisor, or whatever, Google, whatever I'm going to check out a restaurant, I check them out, even though I've been there before, just to see how they're doing.
Right.
And there's going to be a bad review. There'll be a 1-star review. And I'll flip through the 5-star reviews myself. And I'll go to that 1-star review and I'll try to figure out, why did that person give a 1-star review? And I have to tell you something. Now, a lot of times, it's a stupid review, okay? There's some dumb reason why that person gave a bad review.
Yeah.
Really, a lot of times I say, this is lame. But it's got to be dealt with. That's what we're going to talk about on this show.
If you step up your effort to solicit and get feedback,
You should.
listen, and respond.
Yes.
Improve the dining experience.
Yes.
Build customer relationships.
Yep.
That's the advice of this author. Now,
That's advice. That's your
I
advice.
say respond, but I mean that is so crucial and so important that if you do get feedback, do something.
Yeah. Especially good feedback. Yeah. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
for that review. We aim
Also
to
the
serve.
dining-
We aim to please. Say something nice back. Right.
Also, I want you to comment about the quote, dining experience. Don't simply let that little expression drift by, dining experience. I'm telling you guys, the total brand performance. Mm-hmm. It could be, you're going to say it could be the sign out front.
Right.
It could be your website
Yep.
now on the internet or social comment.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the parking area.
Right.
It could be the tables and chairs. My wife and I don't go to a restaurant because the chairs are uncomfortable and make it a unpleasant experience for her.
Right.
Nothing to do with the food.
I know.
They got nothing to do with the food.
Right. Well, a restaurant is a hybrid experience. It's not purely a product, the food, and it's not purely the service you get. The atmosphere has a lot to do with a restaurant. Obviously, you have all the theme restaurants that, the Outback Steakhouse, which is Australian and owned by 3 guys in Florida, not Australian. Yeah. But there's a theme to some restaurants, but the atmosphere is important. But the service is important, critically important.
Service.
And the food is important.
Right.
So you got a lot of different constructs to what would make a good experience for your restaurant. It's not purely a product.
Maybe you pipe in music and it's loud and obnoxious.
Right. Or maybe the food's good, the service is good because you have well-trained staff executing well, but the acoustics are terrible.
Yeah.
I wear a hearing aid, so I can go to restaurants and I can't go there because just the acoustics itself are just so loud,
I went to a restaurant one time and they had a room over here with a band.
Yeah,
and,
that's fine.
What's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing. Go in
But
the
over
room.
here was the dining.
Right.
But the sound, from the music side was so loud. I couldn't think. I couldn't hear. I couldn't have a conversation with the people at my table.
Right, because it was so loud.
I didn't like that.
It was uncomfortable. Right. That's what I mean by the atmosphere wasn't very good.
So dining, I'm just saying, Coach, dining experience is beyond the plate of food that you get delivered to your table.
Absolutely. A lot, quite far beyond just the steak you got.
And mentioning, I want you to, you're going to comment in this episode and the next one, you're going to be responding to this question by the author. Are you online?
Good God, I hope
Are
so.
you online? Facebook, Yelp, whatever. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Restaurants need to be active and effective online now.
Everybody has to be, but restaurants have to be particularly active online because they operate in the B2C world business to consumer world. You got to be online. You got to have a website. You got to have your menu. You've got to have a Facebook page because that's where people are sharing ideas. Hey, have you been to the ABC restaurant recently? Yeah, I was there. It was great. It was awful. Whatever. if you're not online, you're not in business. You know, I mean, just that simple. You have to be online.
There's Facebook, which is a big E, but
Huge.
there's also one
Instagram.
called Yelp.
Yelp, well, Yelp is a review service. Yelp, TripAdvisor, there's several of them out there, but Yelp is very popular. But like I say, I go to Yelp. If my wife and I are going to go out and we're going to go to a restaurant we maybe not have been in months or a year, and we're going to take a ride maybe down to, you know, this beach and go to a restaurant, I will look at that. I've been there maybe a dozen times or more in my life, but I still look at Yelp to say, gee, I wonder what they're rated, you know? Or if we're going someplace, like we visited Gettysburg there a couple of years ago.
Gettysburg.
I relied totally on Yelp to check wherever we were going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner while we were there. And I look at Yelp, and like I say, I would not go to a restaurant that had 4 or fewer, well, fewer than 4 stars.
Fewer than 4.
Fewer. I'd go to a
4.
restaurant with 4. 4 is not bad. 4 is a pretty good rating. I mean, if you consider it's an 80, it's a B, you know, an academic.
Right.
So it's not bad because you're going to get bad reviews, you know, and you got to deal with them. We'll talk about that probably in the second
We'll
section.
talk that.
Yeah.
So website, that's what you create.
Yeah.
Social sites, that's, you can't control those. I mean, Instagram, you know.
You can influence them, but you don't control them, and you have to review them and deal with it. That's what we're going to be talking about.
Now, one thing I want to mention to you guys, I've worked on this personally, is something called directories. If you've never heard that before, you're not addressing it, or you are, you know, fine. But directories are out there. There's 100.
Oh God, they're everywhere.
It used to be, and when you and I, that's before, you know, before the gray hair, when we were young, exciting people, there was
Were we?
a directory was Yellow Pages.
Were we ever?
Oh yes, we were. I have photos when I was a
good.
young, exciting person.
Oh, I forgot.
But there were directories meant, you know, Yellow Pages.
Yeah. Right. Paper.
Today, there's Yellow Pages
book.
is online, but there's now 100 directories. But the thing about I keep mentioning this. That's what people look up. They look it up to find you.
Right.
This is the directories are, you know, called housekeeping information. So you got the location, you got the phone, you got your you know, your website,
White
you got
pages,
other relevant information,
Right.
and it could be wrong. It could be missing, or it could be wrong. And it's a dreadful piece of housekeeping, but you got to do it. If you're not paying any attention, you better make sure, because, you know, if people look you up and you aren't on the directory, or your address is wrong, or, you know, whatever.
Yep.
And also, Coach, is that not all your patrons, even if they like you, may not make a positive comment online, may or may not.
Well, like
if
I
they
said,
don't, but you can as a restaurant owner, can you post a positive comment? In other words, if you had dinner and you walk out and said, "This is great. I like this place," and I said, "Coach, can I quote you online?"
Yep.
If you said yes, I put your comment,
You bet.
because you don't get around to it.
Right. And it's fine to do that. Is
that okay?
I think it is. You had a guest come in, and they particularly said the prime rib was one of the best they've ever had.
Yeah.
And thank you for that review. You know, put it down yourself. I mean, Southwest Airlines won for year after year after year the award for on time. There were 3 constructs to the award. It was a Southwest Airlines award. They give it to themselves every year.
My comment to you is to keep building on what you're talking about. Is that customers will check online these days.
78%.
And if you don't know about this, you better get any restaurant owner. You better get with it. And there's a comment here that 78% will check it out before coming.
Already told you, I'm part of the 78%. And we eat out probably more frequently than a lot of people, because it's just my wife and I, you know. And I still check. I check online. Well, I don't think my wife does, but I do. I will check online. Even though I've been to the restaurant recently, I'll check to see how they're doing. See
But
if
that
they've gone
number will
down.
be growing.
That number is
That
growing.
won't be shrinking or staying.
Especially the younger people, because they live with this thing. They live with this thing in their hand. You know, everything's mobile, and they're going to check before they go out, and they don't need out as much as we do. You know, the middle-aged group.
Well,
My jacket's middle-aged.
well, you just had your 39th birthday, right?
No, I'm having it next week
Oh, okay.
again.
All right.
Yeah.
I got to get you another present.
That's right. Another 39th birthday coming. I just like 39, so I thought I'd stay there.
Now, Coach, I want to turn your attention to restaurateurs responding to negative reviews.
This is critically
So
important.
talk about that, will you?
This is critically important. You have got to respond to negative reviews, because it's going to hurt you if it just sits there. And like I say, a lot of times I will read a negative review. Rarely do I see the restaurateur respond to that with something like, "I'm sorry you felt that the service wasn't up to standard. Please call me personally, right? And I'd like to make it right for you." Just admitting something like that and yet not admitting it is a good way to deal with it. You should deal with those things. I've had professional technology people say, "No, just leave it there, don't touch it." That's wrong. That's just flat out wrong. You've got to deal with negative reviews, in my opinion, and with the growing opinion of more and more of the sophisticated, which I'm not, online technology folks, that you should deal with negative reviews and do something. Always be respectful. We'll get to all that stuff later, but if it's a negative review, deal with it right away. Monitor that stuff every single day.
Well, it's also deadly that on the comments, you get a bad review. For the time being, for right now, that's on top,
Right.
and nobody looks at the positive reviews below.
You stop right there.
You stop. You say, "Uh-oh."
You might have 4.5 stars, but that
Say, "This place
second
is a
one
dump,"
is a
you know?
1 star.
Yeah.
I would have given it no
Yeah.
stars because when I got there, the coffee wasn't as hot as I'd like it to be. I mean, I've read a lot of negative reviews, and like I say, a lot of times they're pretty lame. All right, there are many times they are not lame.
But you want to generate some positive reviews and push that guy down the stack.
Exactly. And the other thing is, if you've got 4.5 stars, obviously you might have in there a 1 or 2 star negative review. Deal with it.
Oh.
You know, because a lot of people will see 4.5 stars and they'll still scan through 5, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5. Ooh, 1. Let me read the 1. That's just human nature.
Well, you've mentioned 2 things. Number 1 is responding to the person who made the negative review.
You bet. Politely.
Number 1, and number 2 is on your, seeing to it that there are positive reviews that will push that bad one down
right.
the stack, so it's not sitting there on top.
Right.
Okay. And by the way, the author tells us that a higher Yelp score could mean a 5 to 9% jump in revenue.
I was shocked by 5 to 9% jump of revenue. I think it'd be much higher.
Oh,
I say that, getting those reviews, getting more stars, I think it's going to be, but apparently she's done the proper research, and her research shows at least, it's like Geico saying we'll save you 15%.
yeah.
They just say it. Of course, they don't always save everybody 15%.
Okay.
But, the bottom line is it's going to raise your revenue, because people are going to read it and say, "Yeah, it's a pretty good place. Let me go there. Let me leave them $40."
Now, the next thing I'm going to ask you is, go back. You made this comment, previously. I want to bring it back forward again. Bring it to the front.
Yep.
Market research. You might say, "Oh my God, that means a study group, or it means hiring a marketing firm. It means all kinds of things." According to you, that's not true. There's one simple thing you can do about market research, and that is
Ask. Just ask.
ask customers.
Were you happy? As they're walking out the door, as they're sitting there, and we'll get to this stuff, with the point of sale system, or just simply give them. My wife and I spent our anniversary in Newport, Rhode Island, and we go to some of our favorite restaurants, and even there I read the reviews, 4.5 stars on one, and after the meal they give you a piece of paper and they ask you some questions. Or is this a 10, an 8, and then the final question was, and I thought it was a great question, if you owned the place, what would you change to make it better? What a great question I thought it was. And this is one of our favorite restaurants.
Ask directly at your point of sale.
Absolutely.
And invest. Put some money. Don't get shocked. I know you grab for your wallet. Invest in your point of service.
What was that verb?
Point
invest.
Of sale. Invest.
The verb. It's not spend. You're investing in the future profitability of your company by doing that, and you're going to get a return on it if you manage it correctly.
Well, you need to look at. You don't need to be thrown off by one negative comment, but you want to look at trends.
Yeah.
About, for instance, about servers doing a good job, or
critically, that represents a big piece of what you go to that restaurant for. You expect good food, you expect it to come out timely, you expect it to be tasty, but you also expect a courteous server who does his or her job on time, responds to your needs, can I have some more water, whatever, without even asking. So, like I said, a restaurant's a hybrid. It's not a pure product, it's a product and a service, and of course there's always the atmosphere. Right, and the cleanliness of the place.
We're gonna do 2 episodes on this on restauranting, and to cover. We've got several thoughts.
Well, restaurants are a huge industry. Like I said to you before this.
This is episode number 1. Look for episode 2. All of the Fox Robbins shows are uploaded to YouTube for convenience. So then you can look it up and look at the episode at your own convenience. Go to YouTube, there's a search box, and type in one single word, Fox Robbins, FOXROBBINS, Fox Robbins, and click, and there's a library of shows. Pick one that is relevant for you and view it, and give us your comments also. And thank you. We will see you guys next time. Thank you.